At its peak, one man controlled more wealth than the entire continent of Europe. His empire stretched from the mountains of Kabul to the tip of Bengal. 300 million people lived inside its borders. Their taxes built the Taj Mahal, their grain-fed armies. Their lives were spent, or saved, at his word alone. But here's what no one tells you. The empire didn't run on the emperor. It ran on everyone beneath him. The spy who disappeared into bazaars. The accountant who knew where the gold was buried. The soldier who hadn't been paid in 3 months, but picked up his sword anyway. This is what it actually felt like. To live and work and survive inside the Mughal Empire, at every rank, starting from the bottom. You carry water, that's it. That's the job. 2 clay pots on a wooden yoke across your shoulders, back and forth, from the well to the kitchen tents. From the kitchen tents to wherever your supervisor points. You don't ask why. You don't speak unless spoken to. In a city of 100,000 people, you are one of the thousands who makes it run, and no one will ever know your name. You sleep on a mat on the floor of a room shared with 11 other men. You eat what's left after the household staff eats. Some days that's a full meal. Some days it's flatbread and lentil water. You have learned not to think about the difference. Once you carried water past the inner courtyard of the Haveli where your master lives. Through the latticed screen, you heard music. A woman singing, the sound of a sitar. You stopped for 1 second, just one. And the overseer's cane found the back of your legs before you could take another breath. You walk faster now. The empire doesn't see you, but without you, it dies of thirst. You are one of 10,000. Your musket is older than you are. The flintlock mechanism sticks in the monsoon humidity, and you've learned to keep a cloth wrapped around it when it rains. Your commanding officer told you this is a good weapon. He has never fired it himself. You march when you're told to march. You camp when you're told to camp. The pay, 2 rupees a month, arrives irregularly. 3 months ago, it didn't arrive at all. The quartermaster said there was a delay in Agra. You ate less and said nothing. In the camp at night, men talk. There's a battle coming. A Maratha raiding party, someone says. Another man says it's a regional rebellion. A third man says both, and laughs. You clean your weapon and don't join in. When the order comes, you'll form a line with the men beside you. You've trained for this, if you can call it training. 2 weeks of drilling in a field outside Delhi. An officer shouting commands at you in a dialect you barely understood. You learned the commands. You learned when to fire and when to hold. What no one told you is what happens after the first volley, when the smoke clears and the enemy is still coming. You're about to find out. You work inside the walls now. Your job is the Haveli, the estate of a mid-ranking noble. You lay carpets, you light oil lamps, you carry messages between rooms, and pretend you have not read them. You have read all of them. This is the thing about being a Farash that no one outside this world understands. You are furniture to these people. They speak freely in front of you because you don't count. And because you don't count, you hear everything. You know which noble is sleeping in debt. You know which merchant is bribing which official. You know the mistress of the house has been corresponding with someone her husband has never met. You keep all of this in a room in your mind, and you lock the door. Because knowledge in this empire is either worthless or it's everything. And right now, you're still figuring out which kind you have. Last week, a man approached you near the water market. A stranger, but not really. You'd seen him at the edge of the estate twice before. He said nothing. He just placed a small folded paper in your palm and walked away. Inside was a number, a payment, and a question. What does the Nawab discuss with his visitors on Tuesday evenings? You haven't answered, yet you ride alone. Not because you're being punished, because you're being trusted. The Ahadis are the emperor's personal cavalry, men who answer directly to the imperial household, not to any Mansabdar or regional commander. You were selected 3 years ago after a decade of service. The selection process was simple. You were watched, and you were chosen, and you were never told exactly why. Your horse is better than anything a Sipahi will see in his lifetime. Your equipment is maintained by imperial armorers. When you ride into a market town ahead of a royal procession, people move out of your way without being asked. You feel the difference in your body, the way your spine straightens on the horse, the way your hand rests easy on the hilt now, not gripping it. You've learned to take up space. But last month, a man in your unit was executed. No trial, no formal charge. He was simply not at roll call one morning, and 3 days later, someone else was riding his horse. You didn't ask questions, no one did. You ride alone, and right now, riding alone feels like the safest thing in the world. You run the city, not officially. Officially, the city belongs to the Subahdar, who answers to the emperor. But the Subahdar is in his fort, dealing with nobles and revenue collectors. You are in the streets, and the streets are yours. Your office handles everything: theft, murder, market disputes, property boundaries, fire safety, noise complaints, surveillance of strangers. Every merchant who opens a new stall registers with your office. Every traveler who stays longer than 3 days is reported to you. You have informants in every quarter of the bazaar. You have informants in the mosques. You probably have informants in your own office, reporting to someone above you. But that's fine. You do the same to them. The job has made you wealthy, not from your official salary, which is modest, from the informal arrangements that every Kotwal in every Mughal city makes. A merchant who needs a dispute resolved quickly. A moneylender who wants a rival stall closed. These things happen. You facilitate, you are compensated, you are also exposed. Because everything you know about the city's illegal economy, someone above you knows about you. The empire is a machine that runs on leverage. And right now, you're not sure whether you're holding the handle or whether someone else is. And tonight you received a summons from the Subahdar's office. No reason given. You'll go in the morning and find out if you're being promoted. Or if this is the last summons you'll ever receive. Your rank is a number, not a title, not a bloodline, a number. You hold a Mansab of 1,000. That means you are responsible for maintaining 1,000 cavalry soldiers, trained, equipped, and ready for the emperor's service. In exchange, you receive a jagir, a land assignment, a region from which you collect revenue to fund your troops and your household. You have never met most of your 1,000 soldiers. You have agents who manage the muster rolls, inspectors who verify the horses exist, accountants who track the payroll. You sit at the center of a web of administration that generates income, maintains military capacity, and demonstrates your loyalty to the throne, all at the same time. Your mansion in Lahore has 40 rooms. Your table serves Persian rice dishes and Kashmiri lamb, and fruits that arrive by courier from Kabul. Your children are being educated in Persian, Arabic, and mathematics. You have made something from nothing, or rather, you have made something from loyalty and from being useful. But your mansab is not inheritable. When you die, it returns to the emperor. Your sons must earn their own. Your jagir reverts. Your soldiers are reassigned. The estate, if you haven't converted its revenue into physical wealth, dissolves. You think about this often, not with fear, with calculation. There is a piece of land outside Agra, agricultural, undervalued. You are in the process of acquiring it quietly, through a third party, before someone else realizes what it's worth. Because a Mansabdar who is only a Mansabdar is only as secure as the emperor's goodwill, and emperors change. You know the number, the real one, not the figure the emperor announces at court, not the estimate the regional governors submit. The real number, what comes in, what goes out, what gets diverted before it reaches Agra, and how much the empire is actually worth on a Wednesday afternoon in November. That number lives in your head and in ledgers that only you can read. You devised the notation system yourself. Your predecessor lasted 8 years before being removed for corruption. Before him, 3 Diwans in 11 years, 1 executed, 1 exiled, 1 who simply disappeared from the historical record as though he had never existed. You are aware of this pattern. You have thought about it carefully. Your power is this. Without your signature, nothing moves. Not the army's pay, not the construction of new infrastructure, not the grants to scholars and poets that the emperor loves to announce at public audiences. You are the valve through which all imperial money flows, and a valve that knows it is a valve is very hard to remove. Your enemies at court call you cold, calculating. They say you have no loyalty, only arithmetic. They are correct, and they are afraid of you. Last month, the emperor asked you directly, how many more years can we sustain the southern campaigns? You told him the truth. He didn't like the truth. He thanked you and dismissed you. You went home and updated the ledgers. In your experience, emperors who dislike the truth the most are the ones who need it most urgently. You govern a province the size of France, 20 million people. Their grain taxes, their trade revenues, their justice, their security, all of it passes through your office. The emperor is in Agra or Delhi or wherever the court has moved this season. You are here. And here is where the empire is actually administered. Your day begins before dawn. Revenue reports from district collectors, petitions from merchants disputing tax assessments, a letter from the imperial court asking why last quarter's remittance was short by 40,000 rupees. A separate letter from the court's spy, your spy technically, except he reports to Agra, and you both know it, noting that a regional noble has been meeting with foreign traders outside official channels. You deal with all of it. You have learned to hold 10 things in your mind simultaneously and appear unhurried while doing so. The 40,000 rupees were short because a drought in the western district destroyed 2 harvests. You will write this in your response to the court, with documentation, in language that is factual and does not sound like an excuse. The distinction matters enormously. As for the noble meeting with foreign traders, you will not report it to Agra. Not yet. You will have him watched more closely, because in 3 months, when you understand fully what he is doing, that information becomes leverage. And leverage in this empire is the only currency that never loses value. You have governed this province for 6 years. You have remitted what you owe, suppressed what needed suppressing, and accumulated quietly what the emperor doesn't need to know about. One day you'll be recalled to court, or replaced, or elevated. Until then, this province is yours. You are the second most powerful man in the empire, which means you are the most vulnerable. The emperor trusts you today. He summons you before anyone else. He asks your opinion on military strategy, on diplomatic correspondence, on which of his sons is ready for command and which is not. You answer honestly, because that is why you were chosen, and because the moment you begin telling him what he wants to hear, you become replaceable. You manage the court, 12 departments, thousands of officials. The empire's entire administrative apparatus flows through your office. Noble appointments, military promotions, foreign delegations. Nothing official happens without your knowledge. Your enemies number exactly as many as your decisions. Every man passed over for promotion, every official you had investigated, every noble whose petition you declined. They wait, they collect information, they whisper in the ears of princes. And the princes, there are 3 of them now, old enough to have ambitions, each one cultivating his own faction at court, each one watching you, because the Wazir who sides with the right prince becomes powerful beyond imagination. The one who sides with the wrong prince is erased. You have not sided with anyone. This has made all 3 of them simultaneously hopeful and suspicious, which is exactly where you want them. Last night, the emperor summoned you at midnight. Not for policy. He simply wanted to talk. About his father. About what kind of man his father had been. You sat with him for 2 hours. And you listened. And you said careful, true things. When you left, you realized something. The emperor is lonely, in a way that no amount of power can cure. And you are the only person in the entire empire who tells him the truth. For now, that is your protection. For now, it is enough. You own everything, and you trust no one. This is not paranoia. This is the job. Your grandfather built this empire. Your father extended it. You inherited it at 23, during a war of succession that required you to imprison your own father and defeat 2 of your brothers in battle. The 3rd disappeared. You prefer not to think about where. The Peacock Throne beneath you is encrusted with diamonds, rubies, emeralds, wealth so extreme it has become abstract. A symbol, rather than a sum. You stopped seeing it years ago. You see the reports instead. Province revenues, army deployments, defection rumors. The price of grain in Bengal, which tells you more about the empire's health than any courtier ever will. Your court contains the most brilliant minds, the most accomplished artists, the most dangerous men in Asia. You have hosted ambassadors from Persia, from England, from the Ottoman Sultanate. They arrive with gifts and leave calculating what they observed. You know this. You do the same when you send your own ambassadors. 3 of your provincial governors are skimming revenue. You know which 3. You have known for 8 months. You have not acted yet, because acting requires removing them, and removing them requires appointing replacements. And your 3 best candidates for replacement each have their own complications. The empire is not a machine that can simply be repaired. It is an ecosystem. You pull one thread, and 12 things shift. This is what they don't tell you about power. It's not freedom. It's weight. Every decision you make echoes for decades. The campaign you launched in the South, 50,000 men, 2 years, enormous cost, has not resolved. Your Wazir's numbers say it cannot be sustained past next year. You don't like the numbers. You trust the Wazir. Tonight you will sit in the private chamber and read the reports, alone. The way you always do at night when the court is asleep and the empire is just paper and numbers and the quiet fear of getting it wrong. 150 million people. Their grain, their safety, their wars, their futures. Yours to spend or protect or lose. The lamp flickers. You read. The Mughal Empire lasted 300 years. At its height, it produced more wealth than the entire economy of Western Europe combined. It built architecture that still stops people dead in the street today. It ran on a bureaucratic system so sophisticated that the British East India Company studied it and copied it when they took over. And it ran on all of them. The water carrier who kept his head down. The soldier with the jammed musket. The Kotwal who knew where all the bodies were. The Wazir who told the emperor the truth at midnight. Every empire is just people. Ranked, grinding, surviving. This one just did it better than almost anyone else.